Hi everyone. Well, I should have maybe sat down before I pressed the record button, but I started now. Hi everyone. Over Christmas I said that I wanted to make a board game recommendations video, and I was going to do it weeks ago, but one of our favourite board games happens to be Pandemic Legacy, and I just thought, that's not really a board game that I particularly want to talk about or recommend right now, so I didn't make it. But now it looks as though a lot of us are going to be spending more time indoors over the next weeks and months, so board game recommendations sounds like something that might be wanted and useful. So I'm going to talk to you about some of my favourite board games today. I'll link them all in the description box down below, and I won't be talking about Pandemic Legacy. If you would like to research that on your own, you're very welcome to, but I suggest maybe that's a game for another day, far in the future. Things are very stressful, I know, at the moment, and scary, it's a huge thing to talk about in this video, and I don't know what to say apart from I'm sending you all lots and lots of love. I asked on Instagram for people to send in things that made them happy or things that they had noticed recently that made them smile, and I'm going to make that into a highlight on Instagram. So if you're feeling anxious and stressed out and sad, then you can go and look at those. I know that that's not a hugely practical thing, but from a virtual perspective, that's what I can offer at the moment. And a reminder, if you have vulnerable people, older people in your lives who maybe are struggling to get to shops or worried about going in public spaces, see if you can pick up anything for them. I noticed in our local area that people have been panic buying paracetamol. So there was none in our local supermarkets or pharmacies, and I couldn't get it online. There are people like me who need to use these medications every day. And if you need to use them, please buy them. If you don't, and you're just buying them just in case, just please be mindful that there are people out there who need them and may not be able to access them if people do that. So yeah, anyway, I think probably you, like me, are coming to YouTube for distractions from things like this. So let's get on to the board games. My first recommendation to you is Sushi Go. I picked this up when we came back from Japan, and I was missing Japan a lot, and spied this in Waterstones, I think it was, and bought it. I love it. It's a card game for 2 to 5 players, and depending on how many people are playing, that depends on how many cards you're given in your hand. So you look at the cards in your hand, you decide to pick one, and then you pass your hand to the next person. So the hands travel round in a circle like sushi in a sushi restaurant, and each time you're given a hand, you pick a card, pass the hand on, and then you play the card and put it on your plate, I guess, in front of you. The aim is to end up with as many points as possible, and each piece of food is worth a certain number of points. So for instance, tempura here, 2 cards of tempura is worth 5. So you're banking on another tempura coming round and for you to put it on your plate. If the round finishes and you only have 1 tempura on your plate, you get no points. Same with sashimi. If you get 3, that's worth 10, but if you end up with 1 or 2, you get no points at all. There are food that is less risky and is cumulative. So dumplings, if you have 1, it's 1 point. If you have 2, it's 3, and so on. There is a chopsticks card, which if you put on your plate means that you can exchange it for 2 cards and put the chopsticks back in someone else's hand. There's wasabi. If you have wasabi on your plate and then get something that can go on top of wasabi, you get extra points. It's just so many different point system. It's really fun, and you can keep an eye out on what other people have on their plates and try and sabotage what they're doing as well by taking cards that you know they want. You play 3 rounds, and whoever wins the most out of those 3 rounds is the winner. My favorite game of last summer is this game here, which Jean introduced me to. This is Unstable Unicorns. Build a unicorn army, betray your friends. Unicorns are your friends now. This is really tongue-in-cheek. It's very silly. It's very funny. It's a little like Sushi Go in the sense that you are trying to collect different things for points, but in this case, you're not collecting sushi, you are collecting unicorns. It's a game for 2 to 8 players, and the aim of the game is to have 7 unicorns in your stable. So you take those unicorns from your hand and you place them onto the table in front of you, and that counts as them being in your stable. But other people can try and sabotage you building this army by giving you downgrade cards, but you can also get upgrade cards which will assist you in the building of your army. You can nay a person if they're doing something that you don't want them to do. All of the unicorns do different things, and whoever wrote the copy on these cards deserves something, a hug, a high five, because it's great. There are basic unicorns. This particular basic unicorn says popped collars are for date nights only. There is an extremely fertile unicorn, which allows you to bring a baby unicorn into your stable if you discard any card. There are other unicorns such as the narwhal unicorn, the annoying flying unicorn. We also bought the dragon expansion pack, which was quite fun. This one is just really silly. And also, where is it? Oh yeah, here. Mercedes bought me this for my birthday, which we actually haven't played yet, but it's by the same people. It's called Llamas Unleashed, which I'm very much looking forward to trying. I've mentioned these two games in videos before, but they're some of my favorites, so I'm mentioning them again. This is Ex Libris, the game of first lines and last words, and Flummoxed, the foreign language bluffer's guide. Both of these are a little bit similar. This one is book related. So you can play this with 2 people, but it's better with, I would say, at least 4. So you are given the title of a book and the blurb of a book, and then you were told to write either the first line or the last line of that book. It's not about you knowing all books ever and being able to write down the correct first line. It's about being confident in your ability to lie. So you make up a line that you think sounds plausible or so out there that it's going to throw people off, and they're going to think, well, that must be the first line because it's so ridiculous. So you all write down fake first lines, and then the quizmaster of that round reads your fake lines alongside the real line and guesses which one is true. If the quizmaster guesses yours, you get a point. If they guess the real one, then they get a point. So yes, you can play it with 2 people if you write multiple fake lines and then shuffle the real one in there. But it is more fun with more people. And Flummoxed is similar. Instead of writing fake lines for books, in here you're writing fake definitions for words. So again, you can play with 2 people if you write multiple fake definitions, but it is better with more than 2 people. I have worked with Oxford Games before, and I did have a discount code to get 20% off games in that video. I'm not sure if that discount code is still valid, but I will leave it down below and you can always try just in case. For clarity, this isn't sponsored or anything like that. I just love them and wanted to give them a shout out. Carcassonne, possibly an obvious one to mention, but one that I couldn't miss out. It was the first board game that Mr. M and I fell in love with years and years and years ago. It's a really easy one to learn, and it's great for 2 players in particular. In this, each time you play, you put down a tile and you claim cities, roads, land, farms. I know that there are expansion packs. I think there's a river expansion pack. There's also different versions of it. You can play a safari version as well. And something I also wanted to mention, if you don't have anyone nearby who you can play board games with, you can play Carcassonne on the app. And the app is exactly like the game, and we have played that before. So you can either get your friend to download the game too, or you can play against the app itself. So that might be worth looking up if you're looking for something to play on your phone that really feels like the board game that it is based on. I'm holding up Lexicon because I couldn't find my version of Bananagrams, but both of them are quite similar. They are both word games. They are both extremely quick games. And I would say they're a cross between an anagram-based game and a crossword. In this one, you are able to use proper nouns if they are Harry Potter related. In Bananagrams, obviously you are not. In Bananagrams, you can play it on your own, and it's just a case of trying to make as many words as possible with all the letters that you gather. Or you can play it with another person, and you have to create as many words as possible. Then once you have used all the tiles you have, you shout out that you're grabbing another tile and adding that to your crossword, and the other player has to at the same time grab a tile, and it's how quickly you can get through all of the tiles. At least that's how I have played Bananagrams in the past. I hope that that is the official way, but if not, there we go, that's how I play. So if you're into word games, these are great. I have another Harry Potter related game here. This is Labyrinth, the Harry Potter version. There are also versions that are not Harry Potter related, but this is the one that I was introduced to by Lauren over at Lauren and the Books. This is for 2 to 4 players. You're each given a house, and then you have to locate different Hogwarts students and teachers in the labyrinth, the maze of Hogwarts, by moving tiles. I will insert a cutaway so that you can see what I mean. Each go, you're able to move one tile, and that moves the entire board, and then you can move your piece through the paths that you have created. It is lots and lots of fun. And finally, my favorite game at the moment is this one here, which I have mentioned before, which is Quacks of Quinlin, Burg. And everyone who I have introduced it to has also loved it. This feels like a Harry Potter related game, but it is not a Harry Potter related game. In this, you are a potions master and you are trying to create a potion. You have a bag with different ingredients in it. And the aim of the game is to take as many ingredients as possible and put them in your pot and get as far round the board as possible. But there are cloudberries inside your bag, and if you have 7 or more of those in your pot, your potion explodes. So it's a game of risk. Should you continue taking ingredients out of your bag, or should you stop and think, I've got as far around as I safely can? It is delightful. I love it so much. If you haven't checked it out already, please do. This is great for 2 players, but you can play with up to 4 players, and there are many different versions of the game as well, where different ingredients do different things, so you can really change it up so it doesn't get tired quickly. So those are the board games that I wanted to mention, but I also wanted to mention another game which doesn't require you buying anything. You would need at least 4 people to play it. Some people call it Fishbowl, some people call it the hat game. I've heard it called so many different things, but again, everyone I've introduced it to has had a lot of fun with it. So you need 2 teams of at least 2 people, and every person needs to get 4 strips of paper and needs to write one thing on each of those bits of paper. It can be the name of a book, a film, it can be an in-joke between the 4 of you, it can be a place, anything. And you fold up those pieces of paper and you put them in a bowl. Then one team goes first. One person will take out a piece of paper, and the first round is articulate. So you have to tell the other people on your team what's on the piece of paper without using any of the words that are on the piece of paper. And you have a minute to do that in, and you keep all the pieces of paper to one side that you pull out. Then the other team do it, and you keep on doing that until there are no pieces of paper left. Whichever team has the most pieces of paper in that round wins that round. Then everyone puts the pieces of paper back into the bowl and you go again. But in this round, it is charades. So you are not using any words, you're just using actions. But this time you know what's in the bowl. So you're trying to associate the actions that someone's doing with your memory of what is already in there. So it goes a lot quicker. Again, one team has 1 minute to do charades, then the next team has a minute, and then whoever has the most pieces of paper at the end of that round wins that round. The third round, I've seen people do different things. Some people in the third round do it where you have one word to describe what's on the piece of paper, and some do it as you have one gesture. You could even do 4 rounds if you wanted, 1 for 1 word and 1 for 1 gesture. And by the end of those 3rd or 4th rounds, it just gets so ridiculous and silly because the gestures and the words that you were using are so vaguely related to whatever happens to be on the piece of paper, but you're just desperately trying to remember what you have seen and experienced before in previous rounds. It's very silly. I really recommend it. So those are all the board games and other games that I wanted to mention today. Please let me know what your favorite games are in a comment down below, because I would love to have those recommendations. I hope that you all are taking care of each other. I wish you all well. And yeah, I will be back with a new video soon. Lots of love.